Your home's exterior is the first thing every single person sees. Before they ever step through your front door, before they see your beautiful kitchen renovation or your designer living room, they see the outside of your house. And here's the brutal truth that most homeowners never hear until it's too late. You could be destroying your home's value. You could spend $100,000 on interior upgrades and completely destroy the impression of your home with just one bad exterior decision. In 2026, there are specific mistakes that are showing up on houses everywhere, and they are silently making properties look cheap, dated, and poorly thought out. What makes this even more frustrating is that many of these choices are being actively marketed as upgrades. Premium options, the smart move, and homeowners are spending real money on things that are actively working against them. Today, we're going through 10 exterior mistakes that are genuinely making homes look cheap this year. And more importantly, what you should be doing instead. Take a look at these solutions. If you're planning any outdoor work, any repainting, any landscaping, or even just replacing a front door, pause. Watch this first, because the decisions you make on the outside of your home matter. Because a wrong decision on the outside of your home doesn't just cost you money, it costs you value. It costs you curb appeal, resale value, and the first impression you'll never get back. Number 10, matching everything to one trendy color palette. It's a mistake that makes homes look flat and cheap. There's a version of this that used to look considered and intentional, back when quality spoke for itself. But in 2026, the homeowners who went all in on a single trending color scheme are feeling the trap. That particular shade of grayish, that specific muted sage, are starting to realize something uncomfortable. Their house looks exactly like every other house built or renovated in the same 3-year window. The problem isn't the color itself. Grayish and sage can look incredible when used with purpose. The problem is when the front door, the shutters, the trim, the porch ceiling, the planters, and even the mailbox post are all pulled from the exact same palette card. What was meant to feel cohesive ends up feeling like a formula. There's no contrast, no depth, no character. Everything looks flat. The eye has nothing to land on because everything is competing at the same visual volume. It just disappears. Homes that genuinely look expensive have intentional contrast built in. A darker front door against lighter siding. Trim that pops rather than disappears. That is how you create depth. One element that commands attention while everything else supports it. The solution isn't to go chaotic with color. It's to think in layers, a dominant tone, a supporting tone, and one deliberate accent. Think in layers, a dominant tone, a supporting tone, and one deliberate accent. That's the secret to high-end design. That structure is what creates the impression of a thoughtfully designed exterior rather than a rushed refresh. Number 9. Cheap garage door left completely untouched. Here is a fact that most renovation shows and design channels completely ignore. On a standard suburban home, the garage door can occupy anywhere from 30 to 40% of the total visible front facade. That means a flat, builder-grade, unchanged garage door is essentially a blank, characterless panel dominating nearly half of what people see when they look at your home. And yet, this is one of the most commonly neglected elements in exterior renovation. Homeowners will repaint the house, replace the front door, install new landscaping, and still leave the original raised panel white garage door completely untouched. The contrast between the updated elements and the unchanged garage door is jarring in a way that's hard to unsee once you notice it. The garage door doesn't need to be the most expensive upgrade you make. Even a carriage-style door in a complementary color or simply painting the existing door to match the home's trim in a more considered tone creates an entirely different impression. In 2026, with the visibility this element carries, leaving the garage door as an afterthought is genuinely one of the most expensive-looking mistakes a homeowner can make for free. Number 8. Overly aggressive landscape lighting. Solar stake lights lining the entire driveway. Floodlights blasting every corner of the yard. Color-changing LED strips wrapped around every tree on the property. There is a version of exterior lighting that reads as premium, and there is a version that reads as a theme park. The difference is restraint, and most homeowners land firmly in the wrong category. The core issue is that aggressive landscape lighting in 2026 has a very specific visual language, and that language reads cheap. When every element of the yard is lit at the same intensity, when the color temperature shifts from bulb to bulb, when the fixtures themselves are visible during the day as plastic stakes scattered across the lawn, the cumulative effect is clutter. It doesn't make the home look more impressive after dark. It makes it look like someone bought everything in the outdoor lighting aisle at once. Effective landscape lighting is edited, a well-placed uplight on one architectural tree, subtle path lighting that guides without announcing itself, downlighting from the soffit that washes the facade evenly. The goal is to make the house look beautiful at night, not to prove that you installed lights. Less deliberate placement always beats more coverage. Number 7. Vinyl shutters that don't actually fit the windows. Walk down any established neighborhood, and you'll start noticing it everywhere once you know what to look for. Shutters that are clearly too narrow to ever actually cover the window they sit beside. Shutters mounted flat against the siding with no depth whatsoever. Shutters in a color that was chosen to coordinate rather than contrast, making them almost invisible. Shutters exist architecturally because they were once functional. They closed. They covered the window. They had a reason to be there. When you mount a decorative vinyl shutter that is visually the wrong proportion, too short, too narrow, too flat, the detail doesn't add charm. It adds a visual inconsistency that registers subconsciously as something being off, even to people who couldn't articulate exactly what the problem is. In 2026, the better move is one of two directions. Either invest in shutters that are the correct proportion and mounted with proper hardware that suggests they could actually function, or remove them entirely and let the window stand cleanly on its own. A well-trimmed window with quality casing and a clean paint line almost always looks more refined than the wrong shutters trying to do a job they were never designed to do. Number 6. Pressure washing without addressing what's underneath. This one sounds like it shouldn't even be on the list, but it's responsible for more disappointing exterior results than almost anything else. Homeowners pressure wash the driveway, the walkway, the siding, and the front porch, see the immediate improvement, and stop there. What they don't address is the cracked caulking around the windows, the peeling paint on the fascia, the rust stains bleeding down from the gutters, and the mildew that has already started returning in the shaded corners. Pressure washing reveals the bones of your exterior, and sometimes those bones have problems that a surface cleaning actually makes more visible, not less. A bright, clean driveway next to a front door with failing caulk and chipped trim doesn't read as a maintained home. It reads as a home where the visible parts got attention and the details were ignored. The correct sequence is repair first, clean second, and finish third. Fill the cracks. Replace the failing caulk. Touch up the paint on the trim before it becomes a full repaint. Address the rust staining at the source. When the cleaning comes last, it reveals a surface that is actually in good condition. And that is the difference between a home that looks genuinely cared for and one that just had a bath. Number 5. Front doors that are trying too hard. The bold front door movement produced some genuinely beautiful results. A deep navy door on a white colonial. A warm terracotta on a stucco exterior, a forest green on a craftsman bungalow. These work because the door and the architecture are in conversation with each other. What doesn't work, and what is showing up with increasing frequency in 2026, is the front door that feels like a statement disconnected from everything around it. A bright red door on a cool gray contemporary house. A distressed turquoise on a brick colonial with traditional trim. A door with ornate iron hardware in a Spanish style attached to a home with clean modern lines. The door is shouting while the house is speaking a completely different language. Your front door should be the punctuation on a sentence that the rest of the exterior is already writing. Number 3. Mixing too many exterior materials without intention. There was a period when mixing materials on a home's exterior, stone veneer, board and batten, brick, horizontal siding, was considered a sophisticated design approach. Used carefully, it still can be. But in 2026, the version of this that has become ubiquitous is the one that uses too many materials without a clear hierarchy or logic, and the result reads as visually confused rather than architecturally layered. Stone veneer on the bottom third that stops abruptly mid-facade. Board and batten on a gable that shares no relationship with the horizontal siding below it. Brick columns on a porch that don't connect to any other masonry element on the house. Each material exists in isolation, and instead of creating richness, the combination creates noise. Simplicity almost always wins over complexity on the exterior. One primary material executed well beats three materials fighting for attention every time. Number 1. Gutters and trim. Nothing communicates neglect faster than gutters that are sagging, pulling away, or overflowing with debris. And yet this is consistently the last thing homeowners address, if they address it at all. Peeling trim and rotting fascia boards exist at eye level. They tell a story that no amount of new landscaping can override. When gutters are in disrepair, the brain registers that the property hasn't been cared for. That impression is almost impossible to undo. In 2026, expensive-looking homes are the ones where every detail is handled, including the ones nobody thinks to mention. Take that walk, look with fresh eyes, get that impression right, and everything else follows.